Welcome back to another episode of TaxSnax, and we are here with Steve Siegel in Morristown, New Jersey. Tell us about yourself, Steve.
Well, where do I start? I've been a tax lawyer, a professor in law schools, a speaker all over the country on tax issues, all at the same time. I managed to do all those things and enjoyed them all. I've been to every state in the country. By background, I went to Georgetown University, where among my most exciting moments, I shared a house with Bill Clinton for 2 months. And I would have to say that the stories of those 2 months are a lot more colorful than anything I'm going to talk about in my tax program. I went to Harvard Law School, New York University for a graduate program, and then I've been working ever since and enjoying the tax area. I've met people in amazing walks of life. I've worked with athletes. I've represented a professional football team. I've worked with entrepreneurs who have bought up amazing things and many small business people who have been very successful. And my joy has been doing planning for people that makes them happy at the end of our relationship. So it's been a very gratifying career. And I've had a number of years working with Western CPE, and I've been all over the country with them. I recommend the resort programs and the FTU programs. They're excellent. So it's been a real pleasure. I've had a very, very rewarding career. I have no regrets.
Well, good. We'll just jump right into it. So you've had this vast, incredible career. What is the craziest tax question you've been asked throughout your career?
It's hard to pick one. What I've encountered is that despite a long career of being a careful tax advisor, people will come up with something and insist it works. Like you can deduct payment for life insurance no matter what. You can deduct the ERC credit no matter what. You can do all these different things in charities and somehow get around the rules. And it's easy, say people. It's not. And the people that get too far and too aggressive, they're the ones who get in trouble. And so my role is always to sort of be the aggressive person within the rules, but the bad guy saying you're going too far and you're going to get in trouble. And so that kind of tends to be the thing. I've got people who try to go offshore and set up companies around the world and say we'll never get caught. And I say you will, and you'll end up going to jail if you're not careful, because now the government's being very aggressive about foreign people who cheat. And so, but there's this attitude among some taxpayers that they don't want to pay anything and they're going to find a way not to. And those are the people that kind of get caught and get in trouble. So our proper role is to be aggressive within the rules, but keep people within those rules.
How do you find yourself handling clients like that when they are just so aggressive about not wanting to pay taxes?
Well, if they're willing to be reasonable, I will tell them this is what you should be doing, and this is we can think outside the box, but we can't go way outside the lines. And if you insist on going outside the lines without accepting my advice, I'm not going to represent you, because I don't need to have the aggravation of you knowing one day, either sooner or later, what you're doing is going to get caught up with. And then I'm the one who got you into it, or I'm the one who didn't stop you. I don't want to be that person. So if they refuse to listen to reasonable advice, the best thing is to step away and say, there must be someone out there who will do what you want, but that's not me. And that seems to be the way I would prefer to handle those kinds of situations.
Oh, that makes sense. I imagine that's not an easy place to get to.
No, because sometimes the client is someone that you want as a client, either because they're a very interesting client, or they're very visible in the public, and or they're paying you a significant fee for doing your work, and you hate to say, I can't do that for you. So we try to be, like I say, think outside the box, but stay within the lines.
Right.
And if they won't let us stay within the lines, then regretfully, we have to say, this is all I can do to help you. And if you insist on pushing the envelope too far, you need to find another person.
Wow.
No, I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, I think that's something people don't always think about is that, you don't have to, you don't have to keep them as a client,
Exactly.
just as much as they don't have to keep you as an
Exactly.
advisor.
If I'm not
Right.
willing to be as aggressive as they may prefer, they're free to go.
Right.
And that's okay.
Some tax tips out there. Because, so this is a podcast like for us non-tax professionals. And so just some reminders for people. Just, like you don't have to keep them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's sometimes the best thing to do is realize that the client is someone that you really shouldn't be working with and step away, and you'll sleep better at night. You won't feel that you've gone too far if that's the case. That's your call, but sometimes that's the better decision.
What's your advice to anyone looking for a new tax practitioner to work with? What should they look out for?
Well, you want someone who has experience, who is a good person to be talked to, that you feel comfortable, and little things, not so little things. Do they respond to your phone call? Do they return your call? Do they, if you text them or you email them, are they responsive? Because you don't want to have, I've had so many clients tell me over the years that you're the first attorney that calls me back promptly.
Oh.
And that's, why wouldn't I?
Right.
Because A, they're paying me to call them back, and B, I'm servicing the client, and that's my role. But many people don't. So if you're looking for a professional, first and foremost, make sure they're experienced. Try to get a reference from someone else. Ask the person, who have you worked with that I can speak to that gives me the confidence that you're the right person for me. And then look for them to be responsive and appropriate. And obviously, don't be embarrassed to ask the person what will their fee structure be, so that you're not shocked or surprised inappropriately. And if you do that, then if you feel comfortable, that's good, because I found that particularly with CPAs that over time their clients are exceptionally loyal, that the CPA does so much, not just tax returns, but helps them get money for a business, get a mortgage for a home, get loans if necessary, helps them in a lot of ways. And so if you find the right person, you could be with that person your whole career. And that's good, because then you have a relationship, and that's what you want to do. Find a really good working and personal relationship with your professional advisor. And sometimes we don't lose clients. I've had clients that they keep saying, you can never retire and please don't die, because I need you until I die. And so that's gratifying, and that's what we want to do.
That's endearing. That's sweet.
Yeah, and I feel like it's important to work with a professional like that, because knowing as a non-tax professional who may be out there looking for a tax professional, we do know, and now I know that I've been told, is you need someone you trust, because at the end of the day, you are still in charge of your own taxes, and you still have to answer for your own taxes, even
Right.
if you do have a tax professional. So knowing and having somebody that you trust, and hiring somebody that you trust, and somebody who feels that way and wants to have you and work with you for a lifetime, it's because you have to have that trust, because at the end of the day, you yourself are responsible for your own taxes.
Exactly. And you trust in relationships, and of course professional competence, but those three elements are all essential to have the right person working with you.
Right. I mean, you're giving them so much sensitive information. Like, finances are very personal. I'm not just going to give that to any guy who says he has a CPA or...
Yeah, that's like, I do a lot of estate planning, and it's interesting that I have to ask people questions about their financial background, their net worth, and their feelings toward their spouse, toward their children.
Right.
And I am told things from time to time that they don't share with their best friends, that they have to tell me that, because when we do estate planning, do you set up trusts for your children? Do you give them property outright? At what age? Ever? Do you have a person that has special needs, whether it's an illness or a disability, or they have an addiction, or they're just not capable appropriately of managing wealth? All those things can be addressed in a good estate planning situation, but if you don't ask those questions, you'll never know. And you have to have that confidential and confidence relationship with the client to get them to comfortably open up to you and tell you all the things you need to know. And that's like what's the phrase, a bedside manner. You need to have a good bedside manner to be able to address those issues with clients and make them comfortable, they shouldn't feel like you're prying into things that you don't need to know about. You do need to know, but you have to make sure that they're comfortable talking to you.
I think that's great.
And yeah, well, you talk a lot about, well, moving on to talking about you and how you like to travel, and you've been to every state, and you've taught at many of our locations. So you'll be at New Money Summit, Four Seasons, Orlando at Disney. What are you most excited about this particular location?
Well, Orlando is always fun. Disney is always fun. I think I've been to all the parks. I've taken children, grandchildren to all the parks and loved it. So it's a great location, and it's the happiest place on earth, as they like to call it. But families having a good time are always a wonderful thing to do, and so I've enjoyed that. So and I think what the summit suggests is you're going to have a diverse group of attendees in multiple disciplines. But what's interesting about the summit is that the attendees will have a chance to touch every discipline that they might be working with, whether it be tax, whether it be technology, whether it be just human relationships. And what we find is you can't build a wall that says, well, I only do tax. No, I have to understand human relationships. I have to know at least enough technology to be able to communicate, because as I'm seeing my younger clients, they're all into technology. And that's something that, I've had a slower time to learn. I finally got past the computer where to delete, I don't have to have Big Bird throw it into Oscar's garbage can. I've gotten a little further along. But that combination is important. And what I'm seeing is that many of my clients are what one would call in the baby boom generation. And those clients are aging. And many of them own very successful businesses. And it's my role in my practice to try to get them to consider business succession planning. And a lot of them are reluctant to do that. The entrepreneur hangs on by fingernails to their business and is reluctant to move it to a younger person. But a program such as this will hopefully give all of the participants some suggestions on how to comfortably deal with the younger generation, because that's where there's going to allegedly trillions of dollars moving from the older generation to the younger generation, and the professionals in the best position to address that movement of trillions of dollars, whether it be through tax planning, through the use of technology, through understanding human relationships. That all makes sense. And the human relationship part is really important, because the statistics indicate that to move a business from generation 1 to 2 is successful maybe 30% of the time, and from 2 to 3 is successful maybe 12% of the time. And that's a shame if you have a senior person who built a successful business that somehow disappears by the time it gets to the third generation. And I don't think the family wants that to happen. So how can we, as professionals, all work together to understand the motivations of younger generations and try to get them to still be interested in a family structure? So all that, I think the New Money Summit will hopefully give all the attendees an opportunity to hear different disciplines and hopefully learn something about each one.
And we're so excited to have you there. And I don't know, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're most excited for your session, and why people should attend your session, and how it kind of ties into everything that you just talked about.
Well, my session is talking about critical tax planning for the next several years. And one can always say we're at a critical time in the tax world, and because almost every president since George Washington, but it's not quite that far back, but all the presidents that I was involved with in my lifetime have had the new tax bills. And so now we have two major events coming in the next 2 years. We have the 2024 election, which, depending on results, could result in significant tax changes. Proposals would significantly increase taxation of a lot of wealthy people dramatically should one side of the aisle prevail. We also have in 2026 the sunset of the 2017 Act. Everything that was passed in 17 disappears at the end of 25, and we're back to where we were in 17 with some inflation adjustments. Will that really happen? Will Congress and whoever is president just say, well, we're going back to 17, or were they going to make modifications? And the answer is, we don't know the answer to anything I've just mentioned. I can't tell you who's going to run the country after the 24 election. I can't tell you whether the sunset will occur in full, in part. We don't know that. So my program is going to be talking about the things that people should be thinking about and doing to be protective of themselves and their clients in the next 2 years. And there are options, there are good planning opportunities. Some people will say, let's wait and see what happens. They might wait too long where they can't fix what might change. Other people will be very proactive and say, I'm going to do these things now because I probably would have done them anyway. Let me move my timetable up. And I'm going to talk about all those things that people should be thinking about. And it's like, think of it as a maitre d' in a great restaurant. I can talk about all the dishes. No one person is going to eat all the dishes. But if we talk about all the options, they'll have an informed way to understand what's possible. And that's the goal of the program.
And what are you looking forward to most about being at New Money Summit?
Well, I think that there's a number of speakers that I'm seeing on the list that I enjoy listening to myself. I never stop learning. Because of tax law changing and being revised constantly every day, I review what's happened in the tax world in the last day. So it's good to have that. And it's good to have people put things in perspective. And there are a lot of excellent people who are going to be speaking there that maybe I've never heard speak in person because I tend to focus in the tax world. And now they're going to open up some other worlds that I would have some interest in. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to meeting a lot of the attendees. Maybe some of them are former students. I've taught in 3 law schools. They may be lawyers. They may be people, CPAs or wealth managers who have heard me speak at either wealth manager programs or CPA programs. So I'm looking forward to maybe reuniting with a lot of very nice people that I've had the good fortune of teaching and working with over a long career.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to having you there with us.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, everybody make sure to look out for Steve at our mixers. He's gonna be around. You're gonna want to meet Steve. He's amazing, he's awesome, and clearly he can't wait to meet everyone as well. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
We have more work to do with you, so we'll see you guys later.